Everybody, I thought we might try something a little different, a little backyard chat after a morning walk. Uh, Got my UNCW, my youngest daughter goes to school there. And so I went on my morning walk. We would hang out in the backyard, and I figured, let's have a little chat about some tech stuff. It's a Friday, why not? So I got this a comment a couple weeks back from Fish and Gulp. Let me just read it to you first. It's great stuff, talking about the last video I did here in the backyard. Great stuff. I think this is where a lot of AI-powered devs are at. Building is not the problem. Now it's learning the business and marketing end and putting ourselves out there to sell what we've got. Devs have an edge being technically adept to use the tools effectively. Time for Sales 101 and networking sounds like opportunities will open up for you, especially with your talks and outreach. Subbed, looking forward to what you've got coming. So that's from Fish and Gulp. Appreciate that. So you're right. Building is not the problem anymore. What is the problem? Oh, look, you got a nice little sunrise going on there. It's networking. You can build the things that you need and that you want, but you have to network now. And this is one of the things that I've been talking a lot about when I do talks for companies and that kind of thing, is that really the extra time that you get because of AI now needs to be involved with the customer side of things, the people side of things, versus just sitting behind a desk. Unfortunately, developers like to sit behind their desk all day. I love to do it and not get out there and meet people. And that's what you're going to have to start doing now, is networking. So whether that's Rotary, whether that's a BNI, well, not really BNI. BNI is very expensive. Rotary events, your local chamber, if there's a technology organization that you can be part of, use your expertise and get involved with those, because it's not about a lot of these things. And I think I might have even mentioned this, that my brother and I had this conversation, that if we grew up in Silicon Valley versus New York and out here. He went to Virginia Tech, I went to Salisbury, and taught myself computers. That was not my major. It was communications, which is like a joke. So I taught myself computers, but if we lived in California, it'd be a lot different. So building is not the problem. When the hard part gets easy, it stops being valuable. So that's an interesting point. So the hard part was what? Writing the code. It would take months to write something, and the client would pay you a lot of money. Now that is over. So how do we reposition ourselves for the future? And that's where I think I have an idea of where things are going to go. And we'll talk about that in future. I've talked about WordPress is dead, etc. So now now that building stuff is easier, where's the scarcity? And that's you and who you are and getting to know people. So where the scarcity went, 3 places, you can count them on your hand. Distribution. Do people know you exist? So that's part of, that's kind of the question. You need to either market yourself or market the products that you've created. Trust. They have to learn who you are. And again, that goes back to the whole people thing. And which problem is even worth automating is something that you need to look into, when you're building these products. What is a real problem to solve for people? And on a small scale, I don't think you need to have 100 people companies anymore. I think you can be a killer company with 5 people and make a lot of money. And then that should trickle down to your small businesses. And that's what I'm focusing on right now, is small business owners, where I can help test these things out and then kind of scale up from there. They need help. AI is the perfect weapon to take a small business to a medium-sized business without, having to hire a bunch of people. But we do have the edge. If you're a developer, you have the edge. Again, we've talked about this before. There's a lot of builders out there. There's a lot of tool users, but not a lot of builders. You're a builder. You know the game. So leverage that, because you are the builder. And the Sales 101. You don't like to do it, but you're going to have to do it. So how do you do it? Let's see here. This is my list of notes. Best part, devs, sales is diagnosis, ask better questions than the client can ask themselves. So when you're going on talking to a client, or you're at a networking event and you're asking about their problems, That's how you leverage AI. It's like, okay, how can I fix the problem? So basically, I mean, my recommendation is you need to read How to Win Friends and Influences People by, oh, what's his name? I'll remember one after this. Dale Carnegie. That is the best book to read. So that will really kind of teach you what you need to do when it comes to this stuff. And putting yourself out there. I mean, that's really the name of the game right now, is your product. You got to market it, which means maybe Google ads, even though Google's dead. We'll get into a whole video about how Google is screwed, even though they do have the data. But this is a wild, wild west right now, and that's okay. And that's what I'm trying to help you navigate this whole world, so that, you know, you can succeed on the other end. Because I'm tired of these people talking about whining. I mean, you know, the jobpocalypse, and how, you know, it's all over for developers and we don't need developers anymore. Really, honestly, decision makers aren't needed anymore. Developers are. You need people to build the widget, not talk about the widget or just make plans. You can use AI to make plans, and you can have 1 or 2 people confer with the AI to make the plans, but you don't need 50 planners and 2 widget makers. And that's kind of the way corporate structure is right now. So you can win right now, either being a solopreneur or having 5 people, you know, consolidating. That's the real win. And AI is the power. The more I use it, the more, it's kind of like being a Christian. The more you read the Bible and the more depth you get into it, the more you're just like, whoa, there's so much more that I need to learn. And really is with AI. I've been using AI since ChatGPT 3, and I'm still using it. I'm still learning more things. I'm still getting more in depth, being like, wow, I didn't think I could do that with it, and I can. So appreciate the fish and gulp comments. Always leave a comment if you have a question about something. We're going to get into a lot more stuff, including how to set up Claude Cowork for you. We'll talk about WordPress, and we'll talk about all sorts of fun stuff along the way. So I figured, I was like, well, let me try something like a little backyard chat. Post walk, you got to get out there, get exercise. But again, the bottom line with this video is that as a developer, you have to take the next phase. If you're going to survive, you have the expertise, you need to add that extra element to your game, which is the networking, is the people person part. And the people person part is going to be so much more valuable going forward. And that's not just like a little like, oh, okay, it's like a feel-good thing. No, it's legit. Because people are going to trust you and want to work with you, and then you're good. And that's the game that we're going to have to play. And that goes across for the whole business specter. Even if you're a college student coming out of college, start networking now. Just getting to know people. You're not going to land a gig or land somebody the first time you meet them. It's going to take a lot of soft hits before you can finally, you know, get somewhere. And that's how you meet people. Just remember, just think of it like when you're in college as a freshman. My daughter's a freshman in college. You're just going to have to keep putting yourself out there, and eventually something will happen. So, as always, leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. We'll talk about it at the next backyard chat, and God bless.